Hey, quick before the video, I'd like to announce that we're doing the LPP Dark Star Shaco Code giveaway thanks to the League Partner Program. It's going to be on the 13th, so that's in 3 days when this video is posted. It's going to start at 11 a.m. for the East Coast of the U.S. and 5 p.m. for all you Europeans out there. The giveaway is NA and E West. They'll give you the skin, they'll give you the champion, and it'll give you the exclusive chroma you can only get through LPP codes. So make sure you follow my Twitch to catch that stream, twitch.tv/LowBlender, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hey, what's up, Kitchen Blender, back again with another video, and today we're going over 14 tips that I used and applied to my ranked grind to escape being a hard-stuck Diamond 4 player with thousands of games across multiple seasons, to now Grandmaster jungler who gets to play with high-elo streamers like Tyler1 and pro players like Jensen, Broken Blade, Sven, Greg, you know. Now I get to play with all these players that I look up to and that I support, you know, TSM players. I'm a big TSM fan. It's really cool to play with them and to actually win games and, you know, get compliments and stuff like that. There's actually a Tyler1 clip of him, you know, complimenting me when I gave him a kill and the way that I played. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the tips. Let me pull up my sheet, and so you guys can use them for your own ranked grind and, you know, improve. So tip number 1 is make sure you are at 100% before you queue up. You need to make sure nothing is going to affect you while you're in the games, that you can give it your all, make sure you're focused and paying attention. You got to mentally and physically prepare for every single game. And physically preparing is actually just as important as mentally preparing. One thing that I do to make sure that I have enough energy, and one of the first changes that I made to my ranked grind is, as you guys have seen in other videos, E-Advantage has been sponsoring them. E-Advantage is a brain booster, it's a supplement, it's a replacement for energy drinks. One of the first changes that I made when I was, you know, wanting to take rank seriously and start to climb was start taking E-Advantage and always have water at my desk so that I can feel good. You know, I can be hydrated and, you know, play my best when I'm in the game. E-Advantage is a brain supplement. It's got vitamin B6, vitamin D3, vitamin B12 in it. It's approved by Health Canada. It's very good. It enhances cognitive performance when you're playing games so that you can pay attention to every little thing on the map. You know, you can look at the mini-map, you can CS properly, and see when lanes are roaming and stuff like that. E-Advantage really helps me, you know, perform at my best. I'd really recommend, if you guys are trying to climb seriously, that you try E-Advantage. There's a link in the description. I have a discount code, which is Blender13, that you can use at checkout to get 13.5% off your order. If you guys are serious about wanting to make the rank grind, I would really recommend trying E-Advantage. It has worked for me. You know, I'm a Diamond 4, it's a Grandmaster, so obviously it works. And I would really recommend, if you're serious, seriously, like, give it a try. It helped me out a lot, and yeah, let's get on to tip number 2, which is become a one-trick. I'm going to cut to some clips of things that I learned while being a one-trick previously in order to get the diamond, to become that hard-stuck player that I always knew I was. I one-tricked Darius, and so there was things that I learned that are very important, so I'll show you that. And recently, becoming a one-trick Skarner, there are things that I have learned being a one-trick Skarner that most Skarner players don't know, because, you know, not everybody's a one-trick. So we'll cut to those 2 clips, and I'll see you guys when I cut back. So when you're one-tricking a champion, you learn little things that have very big impacts on the games that you play. So specifically for Skarner, I learned that you can take enemy blue buffs with the River Spire captured. This is important because when you capture a Spire on Skarner, the enemy team can see that you captured that Spire. So regardless of whether the team has vision of you or not, they're going to know that you're invading the enemy jungle and you're taking their blue buff. They can collapse and kill you. So, with Skarner being a one-trick, I learned that you can actually capture the blue buff with the River Spire. So you pull the blue buff over to the River Spire, you can get the passive from the Spire on Skarner so that you can clear the blue effectively, and you have an escape route if they come and try to collapse and kill you. This is very, very important for Skarner because it's very hard for him to counter jungle enemy teams. So this is an easy way to steal a blue buff, get out, and without alerting the enemy team that he's in the enemy jungle, so you can take blue buffs very, very safe. Hey, what's up, Kitchen? Just want to show you one of the very important things that I learned while being in Darius one-trick. So, with Phage, basic attacks will grant you 20 movement speed for 2 seconds, and kills will grant you 60 movement speed instead. It's the same thing on Black Cleaver. So one thing that you can do on Darius when you're into range matchups so this has a very, big impact on the game, is that you can use your bleed to set up kills on minions so that when you auto attack, so if I auto attack this minion here, I get bonus movement speed, 365. You can set up your bleed to kill the minion so you get that bonus 20 movement speed, and then the bleed will proc as you're running at the enemy champion, and you can get even more bonus movement speed, so you can gap close, because Darius is a very immobile champion, is a hard time gap closing. So if we auto attack this minion twice, W, so you see we got bonus movement speed, pay attention to movement speed down here, it killed it, 408 movement speed. So you can make use of the full phage. As a Darius one trick, this will allow me to set up bleeds on minions so I can gap close toward the enemy. So yeah, get back to the video. Okay, I hope you guys found that very useful. So make sure when you're selecting your champion for one trick and you have a backup, because I would recommend having a backup as well, because Skarner is going to get picked from you, or Skarner will get banned a game if you're in higher elo because people don't want to play against it. That you pick a backup champion that actually counters the original champion that you one trick. So previously, getting to Diamond, I used to play Darius, and if Darius got picked from me, I would play Teemo. Darius is banned, I would play Teemo. Right now, I'm maining Skarner. If Skarner gets taken away from me, I'm going to be playing Xin Zhao because Xin Zhao does well on the Skarner. And, if Skarner gets banned, Xin Zhao is a very good champion, kind of into all matchups. Same with Teemo. Teemo counters Darius, and Teemo typically does well into a lot of matchups. So, whenever you're selecting a champ, you want a one trick. I would keep that in mind. There are some other tips later in the video that'll help you, show you why I picked Skarner the second time around to, really help me make that climb to high elo. So, tip number 3, figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are. So, again, tying into when you're picking a main champion, you need to figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are. So, one strength that I really have is that I make very good decisions. I have, pretty good micro. I know when to engage. But weaknesses that I have, which you gotta admit to yourself that you have weaknesses. You're not a perfect player. It's not your team's fault. There are things that you play poorly at, below average of your rank. There are things you do above average, things you do below average, or below your rank, above your rank. So things that I personally was really bad at is I'm very impatient, which caused me to force a lot of plays even when my team wasn't on the same page. And I'm really bad at warding. If you were able to look at the amount of control wards that I bought previous to this season, it is at an abysmal amount. Probably across 4,000 games, I probably bought around 20 control wards, and if I was able to bet somebody, $1,000, I would legitimately say that I bought 20 control wards. And honestly, the only reason that I bought those control wards is going to be because of missions. When Riot releases missions, there used to be control ward missions. Where you gotta place a control ward in certain game or a certain amount of games. So yeah, that's really the only reason I would buy control wards. I would never change my trinket. I always had yellow trinket the entire game. It's something that I really, really struggled with. So again, I'm impatient and I suck at warding. So I picked jungle and I picked Skarner specifically because jungle vision is important in the jungle actually, but it's actually I think it's a lot easier to be able to ward in the jungle because personally, for me, I'm reminded a lot that when I'm walking around in the dark that I need to be placing vision. One rule that I have now actually as Skarner is after my first clear, every single time I will buy Predator Boots, I will upgrade to Blue Smite after my first clear, I will buy a Control Ward, and I will change to Sleeper after my first back every single game. It helps me, control vision and reminds me, because that's one of my biggest weaknesses. I really haven't done that before, and it's really good to get into a habit of knowing what you need to do, what is your role designed for. I need to gank, so I buy Sweeper so that I know when people can see me, when they don't see me, I need to do objectives, so I buy Pink Ward so you can see right here I place a pink right there. So I know the enemy team doesn't know that I'm trying to do an objective and they don't collapse on me. So stuff like that. Skarner also very good at picks. Because I'm an impatient player, as Skarner, I can still force, and I just ult them and drag them to my team. So even when I force a play, it's a lot easier to force a player in Skarner than a champion like, I don't know, I guess Rengar. It's kind of hard to force a play on Rengar because I'm jumping in 1v5 I'm gonna get blown up immediately and die. But with Skarner, I can flash in with all my movement speed, Predator, Righteous Glory, Blue Smite, and drag the enemy to me. So I would keep that in mind when you're picking your one trick, is to recognize what your strengths and weaknesses are, and then play around, or pick a champion that, you know, allows you to, you know, help your strengths, which is like me. I know when to engage and stuff like that. I know when to make plays, and, you know, takes away your weaknesses, which is, you know, like being impatient and forcing too much. Skarner isn't, you know, Skarner doesn't get punched as much for that, so that's why I picked him. So consider that when you're picking your one trick. So next tip number 4 is to dodge all autofill games. There's a reason you made one roll. There's a reason you are now a one trick. You need to dodge those games. Other people will also be autofilled even if they give you a roll. But, you know, I would definitely ask for your roll, but, you know, be cautious about, because they're going to be autofilled and, you know, they're not going to know how to play. But if you're autofilled, definitely dodge the game. It's not worth it. MMR is much more important than LP. A single game lost is going to hurt you a lot more than dodge, you know. Obviously, in higher elo, a lot of people complain about autofill because they know they're going to lose if they're autofilled. It's really, really bad. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to carry the game. You don't know how to play these different rules, so dodge. MMR is much more important than LP. So make sure, you know, that's one game in June. It's not going to matter in the entire, you know, 8-month to 9-month season of League of Legends. So dodge games, make sure you keep your MMR high, because you will gain more LP in the long run if you're dodging bad games. I mean, you're directly gonna, you know, gain more LP, because you're gonna only lose 3 or lose 10 LP rather than 20. So make sure you dodge autofill games, and if people are typing in pregame chat or tilting in pregame chat, you also need to dodge those games. People that are toxic and tilted before the game even starts, you're gonna have a lower chance of winning those games, so it's just better to dodge. It's better to wait. I'd really recommend, you know, learning when to dodge games, stuff like that. But those are definitely telltale signs. If you're autofilled or if people are toxic in the pregame lobby, you gotta dodge those games, because more than likely you're gonna lose, and it's gonna hurt you on your climb. So yeah, dodge games, keep your MMR high. LP isn't that important. MMR is what's important, which allows you to get more LP. So yeah, let's move on to tip number 5. Sorry about that, guys, my computer crashed. So anyways, tip number 5, I don't know what I said. Never type anything unproductive. A common thing that I see a lot is actually mid laners will ping their lane missing, or bot laners will ping their lane missing, and then they will roam and get a kill. And then, of course, the bot laner that pinged their support missing, it's like, oh my god, dude, I told you he was coming, blah 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 blah, what the heck, why did you die? These things are going to tilt your teammates, they're going to tilt you because you're typing them, and yeah, it's just unproductive, it's going to lower your chances of winning the game, and it's unnecessary. Definitely do not type anything that isn't allowing you to have a better chance at winning the game. Even stuff like, you know, this enemy Aurelia that I'm playing against is named Poopsers, and you know, for example, I could type like haha poop in all chat, you know, very funny, haha. You're just distracting yourself. If you're serious about wanting to climb rank, you need to use chat as a tool in order to help you win games, not as something that's going to hurt you or distract you from your ultimate goal, which is climbing, winning games, getting LP, getting that good MMR, and you know, getting that spicy high elo. So make sure you're not typing anything that's unproductive and stuff like that, because it's not going to help you. We all know why you're queuing up for ranked. It's to climb, get high elo, so make sure you're not typing, you know, stuff like that. And if people are typing in chat that are unproductive, you gotta mute them. You know, we're not here to, you know, make friends with the enemy in all chat, typing dumb stuff. We're here to win games, gain LP, so don't type stuff that's unproductive. Make sure you use chat as a tool to win games, you know. Tell your team when you're going to do certain things, say you're strong, or we should play around this, or let's 5v5. Don't argue. Yeah, just make it a resource that you use to win games, not a negative. I think I've beat that bush enough. So let's move on to tip number 6, which is ping on top of people, don't just ping in the lane. So, for example, if I'm Gragas here, and I see that Aurelia walks bot lane and is missing, I'm going to be pinging my bot lane careful. And I'm going to be pinging it on top of them, and I'm going to let them know by pinging Aurelia alive that, you know, careful, careful, ping Aurelia's alive, Aurelia's coming down. So they know. You got to make it painfully obvious what you're pinging, what you're doing, so that your teammates can understand, because a lot of people aren't going to be paying attention to the mid lane when they're CSing bot lane, or trying to trade, or trying to win a 2v2, or trying to win a 1v1, or yada yada yada. You gotta make it painfully obvious. You need to ping on top of people and let them know. So, if somebody's missing, you ping missing once, you ping careful to the lane that they're gonna roam to, and then you ping who is coming. You know, if I see a jungler's top side, I ping careful a couple times in the jungle. I ping the lane that I think they're going to gank, or that I know they're going to gank. And then I ping the enemy jungler is alive, so I can let them know, you know, careful, this is where they're at, and this is who is coming. Try to relay that information as obvious as possible. A lot of people aren't paying attention, you know, make sure they can know. Nice, let's move on to tip number 7, which is ping your team to set up around objectives early. If you're a jungler, or if you're a winning bot lane, or a winning mid lane, or a winning top lane, and you want to do Rift Herald, or you want to do Dragon in a minute, you need to ping it a minute 30 seconds before that objective spawns, if like a dragon is respawning or something, right? It's very, very important that you set up early. Teams that set up around objectives that are spawning early, or, well, they set up around the objective before it spawns, are much more likely to get that objective. It's very important and key that you guys are setting up before the enemy team gets there, because especially for champions like Skarner or Thresh, champions that allow you to make picks, you can just deny the enemy vision, sit in a bush, and they have to face check it. And if you guys are sitting as 5, it's very easy to, you know, one of the enemy team, you know, walks up like an idiot and face checks by themselves. It's very easy to make that pick. You got a 5v4. You can play your advantage from there. They still have no vision. You can continue to make more picks. You can, you know, force the objective, all depending on your comp, of course. But, you know, ping around your teammates to set around objectives early, and make sure that you're face checking with your team and stuff like that. Because it's very easy to win games when you're coordinating your team and everybody's on the same page. So ping around objectives early. Don't be that guy that recalls as the dragon's spawning and then running out there and then the dragon's already gone. You want to be recalling early, pinging to go get this objective, and setting up around it, you know, accordingly beforehand. But anyway, let's move on to tip number 8. Is don't spam games. So if you lose 2 games in a row, that's personally my rule. If I lose 2 games in a row, I stop. You need to take a break. Regardless of whether you think you've played well and you think you're not tilted, if you've lost 2 games in a row, there's a reason why you lost 2 in a row. And it's not your teammates. Even if it is your teammates and you think it's your teammates, you should stop anyway. People do go on unlucky streaks, people do go on bad streaks. We've all seen the guy that's been on a 20-game loss streak in a row, and they're like, wow, 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 it's my teammate's fault, I'm playing so well. Odds are, you're not playing well yourself, even if you've got really good KDAs. Obviously something's happening that's making you lose games, so you need to take a break, you need the detail. One thing I struggled with is that, you know, I thought I wasn't tilted, and I'm playing well even though I'm losing. It's like, I'm going to keep playing until I win a game. And that causes you to go on really bad loss streaks and causes you to ruin your MMR. You know, I did that a lot on my main account. There was actually a period of time where I played League probably for 30, 40 hours straight, where it demoted to Platinum, and I wouldn't allow myself to go to sleep or stop playing the game until I got Diamond back. Which eventually I did get Diamond back, but I ruined my MMR in the process because I lost so many games in a row. You know, I was really toxic to my team. It's not healthy for me, mentally, physically, or for your account anyway. It doesn't really matter that I got Diamond back because I was spamming games. I mean, I demoted. I mean, it takes a lot to demote from the tier. I probably lost like 10 games in a row. I probably was like minus 15 for the day on 1 loss. It's just really bad. So if you lose 2 games in a row, make it a rule to yourself that you gotta stop queuing. Go play some normals. Go watch an episode of a show that you really like. Something. Do something. Take a 10 to 20 minute break at least, and then you can queue up again. But, you know, stop after 2 game losses. Make a rule for yourself and stick to it. Anyway, let's move on to the next Next tip, number 9, is, obviously not everybody can get a duo, but I would recommend getting a duo, and a duo that helps, that is also wanting to improve and climb, and a duo that, you learn to play with. You can see in this game, I'm duo with Fanunu. I'm sure you guys, if you guys ever watched my stream or Fanunu's stream, you've seen us play together because we do duo a lot. There's a lot of advantages to having a duo, and there's really no disadvantage. I mean, you might get a little bit worse teammates because you're duo and you're supposed to carry, but you learn to play with your duo, and you learn how to carry games. People that complain are like, oh my god, you only got this rank because you duoed with blah blah blah. They're just carrying you. Who cares? People like that just are making excuses as to why they're better, or they're not better than you, why they're not your rank, And even if they are, they're just mad that they don't have a duo. Duoing is perfectly fine. There's a reason it's in the game. You should use it. This is ranked. We're not, we're not trying to prove anything to anybody else. We're trying to climb the rank ladder as high as we can. And a duo does help that. So I would really recommend, if you're mid laner, get a jungler or support. If you're an AD carry, get a support, get an AD carry. If you're a top laner, get a jungler, because we all know playing top lane without a jungler, that's no fun. So get a duo, make sure you guys are on the same page, and they're very beneficial to your climb, and I would really recommend getting one. So let's move on to tip number 10. It's that every decision you make should have a purpose. So, don't just mindlessly go and, counter jungle, red buff, counter jungle red buff against a Karthus. You guys really think red buff is that important for a Karthus? It's not, because Karthus is barely auto-attacking. Also, don't just mindlessly go for kills. When you go for kills, make sure there's a reason why you're setting up and going for a kill. So, if you want Baron, you should try to make picks and then force the Baron as fast as you can after you make a pick. So make sure there's a purpose in the decisions that you make. There's an Infernal Dragon up. You guys, need the Infernal Dragon. Look to make kills around mid and bot, so that there's a purpose of why you're, making those picks happen or kills happen. Like, just make sure there's a reason for everything that you do, and understand why you're doing the things that you do. Just make sure there's a purpose. So yeah, that's tip number 10. You can see here, obviously, the purpose for us making this team fight happen is so we can deny Baron. Just make sure there's a purpose where you're going. Don't mindlessly, go on autopilot and do some dumb stuff. But yeah, make sure everything has a purpose. I've beaten that bush way too much. Tip number 11, establish win conditions for both teams and make sure you play around them. So, obviously, the funnel strat win condition is to funnel all of the gold into Master Yi and have Master Yi carry. So, what you would want to do is personally as a jungler, I know what to do. So I need to be sitting around whatever lane they are trying to funnel and make sure that my laner isn't just dying on repeat over and over and over. You also got to look at lane matchups. So, for example, this game we got Fiora into Kled. I can gank that lane, get Fiora an advantage early, or I can just leave it alone because Fiora will outscale the Kled eventually. There's not really there's a reason to gank that lane to get Fiora ahead, but I'd much rather gank the Gragas into Aurelia because Gragas, if he falls behind, it's going to be very bad. We don't want to play against a fed Aurelia, and Gragas will hard carry if he's ahead of Aurelia, and Aurelia can't do anything if he can just one-shot her. Also, I'm Skarner into Karthus. What does Karthus want to do? Karthus wants to do nothing but farm and scale, get kills with his ultimates, and become, just a ridiculous powerhouse that one-hits people with arm. So as Skarner, I want to be proactive. I want to be chasing down the Karthus like this, and I want to be killing him as much as I can. You see, look, my Gragas one-shot the Karthus. I'm not allowing him to just AFK farm, stuff like that. Bot lane, you can see Ezreal is a scaling AD carry. Caitlyn, this AD carry, her win condition is, getting ahead in lane, running around the map, taking all the towers, trying to set up in siege. Recognize what champions want to do, what your team is made for. With Skarner, obviously, our win condition 99% of the time is going to be team fighting and making picks. That's just what we do. If you're a Jax player, it's to split push when the game's through split pushing. And let your team know what you guys want to do. So, yeah, establishing conditions, very, very important. Tip number 12, recognize item and power spikes. Level power spikes, item power spikes. One thing around, that I've learned playing New is that Gragas is very big power spike at level 6. You can make a lot of plays with that ultimate. It's very easy for me to gank that lane. There's actually a clip of Synapse and alting people into me. We do that all the time. He talks about, like, he always angles the alts and into me so I can kill them. And you gotta recognize when your champions are stronger than enemy champions. So jungle specifically, I have to look at the enemy jungler, whether the enemy jungler is going to be there or not, and I have to look at the lane matchups to figure out when my laners are stronger or when my laners are weaker. So ganking Kled early as Skarner into Fiora is actually not too great because Kled is a lot stronger until like level 3, and even then Kled can do stuff to, like, Kled could just turn on me, and if Karthus is there, they're gonna win that 2v2 because Fiora isn't very strong that early. With bot lane, it's also very hard for me to gank that lane early because Fiddle's gonna fear me. Kaelin's gonna be stronger than Ezreal until Ezreal reaches 2 items like Man Immune and Trinity Force. So recognize when champions are strong. And you'll have a lot better time picking fights and making sure you pick the good ones when your champions are stronger like that. Specifically for Skarner, obviously he's very weak pre-6. Once he gets 6, he's a monster. You can kill anybody in the game with some help. And, Predator and Wretch's Glory, play around those cooldowns and stuff like that. So recognize item power spikes is very, very important. Recognize when your champs are strong, when the enemy champs are strong, when you can win fights, stuff like that. So tip number 13, which is, one of the most important, is that make a new account if your MMR is messed up. I understand that, you got your main account, and that's your baby. You gotta caress and hold that. You want that to be your best account. You want the highest rewards on that account. You want it to be the best. But if your main account is getting plus 13 LP, minus 23, I'm sorry to tell you, but it's time to go to the next one. The account that I climbed up is actually Smurf. My main account is still Diamond 4. I kind of just use that to, play with friends, mess around, stuff like that. Go next account. It definitely makes a big difference. I promise you, it will take less games to level a new account and play ranked on a new account than it is to fix an account that has plus 13, minus 22 LP gains and losses. It's going to take way too many wins to fix that account, and it'll probably never be fixed until the next season. So just go to the next account if your account is doomed. Just trust me, it's a lot better. It worked for me. So yeah, make a new account. The MMR is messed up. Yes. Tip number 14. I really had to make that awkward, huh? It's to focus on yourself. Everything that happens in the game is your fault. If a pro player was in your gold elo game, that pro player is going to carry that game 95% of the time, Everything that happens is your fault. That's the way you want to look at it, and that's the way you want to, change the way you play. So personally for me, as a jungler, if I let my bot lane go 0-4, I don't think of that as like, oh my god, my bot lane sucks. We should just go next and FF. I just gotta queue up and hope I get luckier with bot lane next time. No, when you use step 14, when you're looking at that, you want to look at it as, what could I have done to make this lane go better? Could I have shoved my lane and roamed to that lane to make sure that my bot lane doesn't fall behind? Could I use my lead better? As a jungler, I probably should have pathed bot more and make sure that my bot lane was okay. Stuff like that. Make sure you gotta think about what can you do, because you can't affect any of your other teammates' gameplay, but you can't help them out and make them stronger. If I gank bot lane and give my bot lane a kill, maybe they win that 2v2. So make sure everything that you do is focused on yourself, and yeah, very, very important. So it's all 14 tips. I can go over them real fast again, just because this is kind of a long video. But I really do appreciate everybody that made it this far into the video. If you made it this far, make sure you comment, "It's my time," so I know that you got all 14 tips. So go ahead, recap them really quickly, so we can just go over them again. So tip number 1, make sure you're 100%. It's going to affect your own game, internet issues, etc. Mentally, physically prepare. E advantage. make sure you're good on that front. Become a one-trick / two-trick. You can learn a lot of stuff becoming a one-trick. And then, you know, you have your backup champion in case your one-trick gets banned or something like that. You know, little things, they have bigger impacts. Tip number 3 again, figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are, and then pick a champion that helps, you know, champion in a role that helps get rid of your weaknesses and helps your strengths. 4, dodge autofill games or people tilting a pre-game chat. Also, you know, make a dodge list. You don't want to play with those players that are really bad, or players that you don't work well with. Obviously, there's a reason when they're on your team that you're losing, so just dodge, take the LP hit. It'll be okay in the long run. Tip 5 again, never type anything unproductive. Tip 6, ping on top of your team's champions, not just in the lane. People aren't going to pay attention. Don't spam games if you've lost more than one game, or dodge, or take a break if you lose 2 in a row. Tip number 9, get a duo. Tip 10, every decision you make should have a purpose. Make sure you understand why you're going for kills in this area of the map, or when to go for kills, something like that. Establish win conditions for both teams and play around those. Recognize item power spikes and level power spikes when ults are up, you know. We've all seen the level 2 bot lane kill the level 1 bot lane because they got level 2 first. Tip number 13, make a new account if your MMR is willing. And tip number 14, which again I think is the most important, is focus on yourself. Everything is your fault. Focus on what you can do to help your team win, and yeah, you guys will be climbing. Let me know if you guys use these tips and how your climbs are going. Join my Discord, if you're not, you can message me on there. I'm always on Discord, and yeah, hope you guys subscribe and stick around if you guys, you know, enjoyed this type of content. I'm going to be doing I'll probably be doing an unranked Masters account. I have a level 29 account right now. I want to make a video, make it informative about, you know, how you can climb and get to higher elos, and yeah. I'll be using these tips obviously in that series, and you can see firsthand, you know, the effect that it has. So, anyways, guys, I really do appreciate everybody making it this far. So stick around, check out the advantage, and I'll see you guys on Discord or in the next video. Peace.